Race 9 on Future Stars Friday at Keeneland, the Breeders Cup Juvenile, $2 million mile and a 16th. Joe Kristufek and Scott Shapiro. And Scott, points were up for those eligible horses to earn points, 30 to the winner on the road to the Kentucky Derby. And there are some very talented horses involved in this contest.
There sure is, as is often the case, but it looks like a pretty salty group of two-year-old colts trying two turns here at Keeneland for the big $2 million purse, like you said, or at least a lion's share. And no doubt, Joe, this race goes through number 3, Cave Rock, 4-5 on the morning line for trainer Bob Baffert. A perfect 3 for 3, has never really been tested on the front end out there in Southern California, including on October 8th in the Grade 1 American Pharoah when he popped the gate, led throughout, and cruised home under jockey Juan Hernandez. 4-5, a little short because I do think there's other horses in this field, but I'd be lying if I had said he was anything but the likeliest winner.
Yeah, I mean, he's fast and he just keeps on going. And you mentioned the effort in the American Pharoah where he defeated his stablemate, National Treasure, who won on debut impressively, going 6.5 at Del Mar, stretched out to a mile and a 16, Scott. Took the blinkers off for the second career start after wearing them in the debut. He ran a very good second. I mean, if K-Rock wasn't in the race, he would have been a dominant winner that particular day. Second try around 2 turns, and interestingly enough, puts the blinkers back on for this one, drawn on the outside, and a much, much, much better price in the morning line than his stablemate.
Well, you're speaking to me. I know you landed on National Treasure, as did I, at 8-1 on the morning line. I think anyone but Cave Rock would be a massive separator. Forget about what they go off in terms of a win price on the tote board for people playing the late pick 4, the late pick 5, pick 3s, doubles. Major separator. If you could beat Cave Rock, by far, I would think the likeliest single in any of those sequences. And I, like you, think National Treasure really ran a big race last time, even though he was beaten over 5 lengths. Now, how is he going to make up those lengths? Well, one, the blinkers going back on is interesting. He draws, I think, favorably in this case to the outside. Now, could he get caught wide under Johnny V? Yes. But outside of Cave Rock and a couple other horses along the inside that may not even have the class speed of a Cave Rock, I think he's going to be able to get out there, find his spot under Johnny V. And it's interesting, you mentioned the blinkers going on. Baffert had a number of horses in that American Pharoah, and I just don't think he wanted National Treasure to get caught up in a duel with his other ones. Now the blinkers go back on, and I couldn't help to notice in a couple of interviews I've seen with Baffert how many times he mentioned National Treasure as well as Cave Rock. It sounds like he's doing very well coming into this race, Joe.
Yeah, Baffert tied with Dwayne Lucas for most Breeders' Cup Juvenile victories at 5, looking to break that record and hold it solo with a victory here with either K-Rock or National Treasure. But the Breeders' Futurity, obviously, Scott, at Keeneland, a key race moving forward into this one as well. We don't get the second or third place finishers, but we do get the winner, Forte, who probably ran even better than the neck margin of victory indicates.
He and Forte, he and Loggins, part of me, was the runner-up, I thought ran absolutely huge. 2 Phils, who had a trouble trip in that race, came back to win a stake race earlier on last week, on opening day, stars of tomorrow. The Street Sense flattering that field a little bit more. And man, that was a really big effort. It has not been easy to come from off the pace at Keeneland like Forte did. And he made a strong middle move and he sustained it all the way to the wire. I think he merits major respect in here. Will he get overlooked with Cave Rock and in National Treasure? That remains to be seen, but I'm not willing to let Forte beat me in here.
And out east, Scott, the Champagne 1-turn mile contested in the slop this year at Aqueduct instead of Belmont. And the 1-2 finishers, I thought, ran great in that race as well, verifying finishing up second best after being forward throughout behind the deep closer in the middle of the track, Blazing Sevens for Chad Brown.
Yeah, I have my questions with Blazing Sevens because it's a lot different what he's going to encounter at Keeneland. Not only a better field, although that was a solid one, but no sloppy track. Well, we hope not. It doesn't appear to be. And 2 turns. So coming from off the pace, so the pedigree loudly, to me screams less than 2 turns, although you never know how that's going to go. Good Magic, the jury's still out a bit, the sire. But I'm going to be willing to let Blazing Sevens beat me. I think Verify's interesting underneath. Very well meant son of Justify. Hammered down the odds on debut for Brad Cox at Saratoga. He didn't send a lot of his runners to Saratoga to debut. He had a lot of good ones at Ellis. The fact this one was in New York, a little bit noteworthy to me, and I thought ran a good second over the slop. At 10-1, I'm going to include Verifying underneath.
I will say this about Blazing Sevens. When that horse came back to the winner's circle after the race, he was absolutely covered in mud. He made a move through traffic. He overcame adversity in that race to get the job done, verifying a half to midnight Bisu, right? So does have the pedigree to go 2 turns by the amazing first crop stallion Justify. I think it's safe to say, Scott, that this is a jam-packed field for the juvenile as far as talent goes. 30 points on the line for the Kentucky Derby, and we might see a couple of these the first Saturday in May.
I think that's pretty likely, although it always seems that to an extent. But there have been some underwhelming juvenile run races in the past, whether it be horses that didn't make the race or horses that just didn't go forward, or just an underwhelming group in general. But I don't think that'll be the case here. I'd be pretty surprised, Joe, if it wasn't K-Rock, National Treasure, or Forte getting the wire first. But underneath, I think it's a whole lot more wide open.
Looking very forward to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile coming up on Future Stars Friday at Keeneland. Goes off as race number 9. Again, that double into the Breeders' Cup Classic on Saturday. Twin Spires is the place to watch and the place to play. Make sure you opt into the money back offer. If you bet a horse to win and it runs second or third in any of the Keeneland races that are eligible, you'll get up to $10 back. For Scott Shapiro, I'm Joe Kristufek. Enjoy Future Stars Friday and Championship Saturday. Breeders' Cup at Keeneland this weekend.